6 p.m. at the YWCA. Union Relief organization is going to provide dinner. Yeah. Oh, they're telling me the time is up. I've got to quit. I've got to stop. All right. All right, news is up. We'll have John Hamill's popping up here in a minute. By the meantime, I have a public service announcement for you, and this is just for you.
Stations change lives. Bill and Debbie know.
My mother prepared for everything, including her own medical care. She said talking about dying didn't mean that she would die today. So she told us what was important to her, shared her wishes, and put it in writing.
We were able to make sure that she died a peaceful, natural death, just as she wanted.
Start your conversation. Visit compassionandsupport.org.
Right. And start stockpiling your 40 powerful pills. The day will come. The day will come. John Hamills, Doc, you're on. Talk away.
Good morning, Reed. Good morning, Fred. How are you? Good morning, folks. Well, first off, I just want to get my plug in real quick. Coming up next Saturday, Reed, May 5, the Westfield Mayville Rotary Auction, the annual auction. There's just hundreds of really great things that you can purchase at the auction. There's a live auction with Dave Brown. Our buddy Dave does a great job, lots of fun and good humor. We have a silent auction where you write down your bid, and then it's like a progressive kind of thing. There's a chicken barbecue, all for $10. Just to get through the door, you get a chicken barbecue, all the beverages you can drink. There's dessert and so forth, and then an opportunity to bid on all the different items.
You gotta mention that the beverages includes beer, too.
Well, I let people's imagination go wild.
Well, for $10.
For $10, what a deal.
I don't know anybody in Westfield who can't drink $10
That's
worth of beer.
right. Well, anyway, so it's a great time, and there's the proceeds for what the Rotary Club does are all service projects in our communities in the 5 catchment areas, from Brockton to Ripley, Westfield, Mayville, Chautauqua. I'm leaving somebody out, Sherman. We cover schools and civic organizations and so forth. Great opportunity to get out there, get some good deals. All this stuff is donated, so it's all profit to the club, and so try to get out there. Reed, today I wanted to mention also that, you mentioned about that person getting supposedly waylaid in Italy. Folks, if you see those kinds of things, these come up because I've had people call me where they've seen these things, and just use common sense. Don't send money, number one. Number two is call the person that's supposedly, because I've had people stuck in Ireland and the British Isles and so forth. So it's a scam. Don't bite on it. Okay, today my editorial is very simple. It's this time of year. Fred knows this. I'm glad Fred's here because we commiserate on this from time to time. We were both school board presidents. All the time, at this time of year, you got the letters that come out, don't do this, vote against that, and da-da-da-da. And then you hear about mergers and annexations and so forth, and it starts to heat up this time of year for some reason. Because the elections are coming up. And I think it's the second Tuesday of May. Yeah, I think so. Either second or third Tuesday. It's everybody votes on the same day. Anyways, but folks, when we start seeing this business about mergers and shared services, what happens is government officials in their wisdom say, we should be looking at this. And I agree, because you should look at it anyways from time to time. But the process goes like this. Somebody says, okay, we should get together, we're going to look at merger. And then they get a study. And then everybody complains about the amount of money that you have to pay for the study. And then lines are being drawn. Lines are being drawn against it, lines are for it. Some people will say this is stupid. Some people say we'll never give up our school. And then we start seeing the battles and the letters going out and so forth. We are talking here about our future as an area. We're talking about our students that need to be provided the best education possible. So before you get your opinions set, sitting around a coffee clutch at the diner or whatever group you hang out with, go to a school board meeting. Talk to your school board members. Go visit the school. Talk to the teachers. Make up your own mind. Don't get filtered by some of the opinions that some folks have because they got an old axe to grind or because they didn't do well in school or whatever. Back to you, Reed.
Okay, Westfield's talking to Brockton right now, and I don't think no Westfieldite is going to cotton to them people from Brockton.
And there you have it.
No, actually, we have classes fumbling and falling. The population is dropping sharply. We're spending a huge amount of money for these schools, and we're getting a lot of money taken away by the state, and our taxes are going skyrocketing. And you know, one class had 17 kids graduate from it nearby, and I can't believe this. So we're still funding for classes that have 100 people in them, and now we're down to 10, 7, 17, 20. It's time for a change here. Gee, we got to do something. We have to consolidate at least the high schools. You know how much it costs to have instructors and a science lab and things like that. They're very important. And if every school has one of these and they got these little tiny classes, you're going to go broke, Jack. Enough said. Got a guy here with us, Fred Croscut. Fred was for quite a while the majority leader over there, chairman of the legislature, so he's pretty well involved and he knows what he's doing. He's an old cow farmer from up on the hill, and he just hangs out and he knows what's going on now. He's very astute, see. They think he's just an old cow farmer. He don't know nothing, you know, but he knows everything. There's nothing passes by his sharp eye. So, good morning, Fred.
Good morning, Reed. You're very gracious this morning, my friend. You really are.
Well, actually, you're one of my favorite.
But I'm very glad to be here also.
You're one of my favorite guests because you seem to be on the know, and you are, at least you tell it like it is.
Well, we try.
Yeah, some guests will obfuscate, not answer. It's trying like pulling teeth, you know, trying to get some information out of them.
But we'll do our best.
Okay, well, what's new over there anyway?
Well, I think it's always nice to come on this Saturday after our last week's meeting. There were several things that came up last week, and we may get some calls. I want to read them off because I've written them down. We gave our part-time deputies a pay raise.
They said there's big opposition. They said, where's the money coming from?
Well, and I can go into that, but we also
$100 million deficit or something.
We had the welfare to work discussion. We talked about the county home IGD funds, tax agreements, and funding for Chautauqua Lake. But this deputy sheriff's agreement was very controversial, and I very simply did a tremendous amount of research with this, talking to several people. And as John just mentioned, he and I were on school boards together, so I've had some experience with the negotiations and mediation. But the bottom line was this: the whole picture was these deputies started out in 1992, and I believe Sheriff Bentley was even sheriff then at a step one salary schedule. I
remember Sheriff Bentley.
Yeah, and somewhere along the line they were either dropped out of the union or kicked out of the union. They were unrepresented by the union from 92 to 2000, 13 years anyways. At that time they didn't get any pay raise. And so they finally got a pay raise, I believe, in 2004. They got back in the union, formed their union, and yes, from 2004 to possibly 2012, you could have looked at this as a 22% pay increase. But as a lot of us know, you look back over that whole time period since 1992, and it works out to be 1.9%.
If that.
If that.
Because inflation is just flowing all over.
Right. And
they're phony figures about it, but there's
so
real inflation.
Right. And even our welfare recipients, as you read in the paper last week or so, have gotten a 10% pay increase.
They had to give them more. I mean,
yeah.
geez.
But the same token, after I articulated this to our caucus and I articulated this on the floor, I have been criticized, I have been praised. But I made a decision, and I really want to tell the public our legislature is working really very well together. And I think that's what people want to hear, and I think you ask any legislator, they'll tell you the same thing. But the bottom line was the deputy sheriff's contract was approved, because I also feel that if they had stayed on step one through this year, they'd be making over $20 an hour. This contract brings them in at about $16.35. Remember, they're our next full-time deputies. Hopefully, they're court officers.
I don't understand this. They would have been making under their old contract $20 an hour.
No, if they just stayed on step one, which they were on in 1992.
Yeah.
This year they would be making $20 in some sense.
But you gave them a raise. Now they're only making 16.
But remember, they're no longer on step one of the contract. They were taken off step one of the contract back in 1992. No, I hope I'm making you clear.
No.
Well, the bottom line is, I look back since 1992. The arbitrator would have looked back in 1992. The bottom line is, they're still making less than the corrections and officers in Jamestown and the full-time corrections officers here in Mayville.
What's the average annual salary for a part-timer? This is a part-time.
1635 is what they're going to be at right now.
1,000.
16.
No, I'm talking about the annual.
Well,
What's that?
part-timers only work so many hours anyways. I
Yeah,
think they can only work, I want to say 1,000 hours. But a full-time deputy sheriff is around $25 an hour. A full-time court officer is somewhere around $18 to $20 an hour.
What are corrections, Mike? You seem to know.
Well, that's about what they make. That's what I'm being told.
Uh-huh.
Is they certainly make more than $16.35 an hour. And of course, I feel for part-time people. Since I've sold my farm, I'm a part-time bus driver in Sherman. I go through all the drug testing, alcohol testing, the schooling, the physicals, which is fine.
What do you do for Sherman?
Substitute drive school bus.
Okay, and you have to get drug tested for this?
Oh, you certainly do. And if
How
any
often
bus
do they test you?
randomly. I have been tested every year for 3 years. Back when I just recently stepped off the bus in the morning, and within the last month, and the individual's there to take your samples, and you breathe into the machine. Random testing of all licensed school bus drivers.
No, if you breathe in the machine, I guess they're looking for alcohol, but
They certainly do, and you can be drawed for one or the other, but usually, I mean, there were two or three drivers that day in Sherman that were pulled, and I was run both. And, you know, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. We shouldn't be having our bus drivers out with drug and alcohol problems.
well, yeah, you shouldn't be drinking when you're
Right.
driving the bus.
So-
And that happens. You see it all the time.
Well, that's why a lot of people fail their pre-employment physicals, too. They cannot pass the drug and alcohol test, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Okay, so
So we went there. We're working on welfare to work. I think probably if Andy Goodell has been on this program, he has talked about that. I commend Christine Schuyler. We are working towards getting our participation rate up in the welfare to work program.
what is it? It's very low.
Well, it's around 10%,
Yeah,
but she's
10%.
already increased that. We met with her, and she's a great woman, and she's working hard. She's got a full-time job. But yes, I don't know all the particulars of this, but I do know this. The public and the legislature we could save upwards of $4 or $5 million by getting some of these people off public assistance. And I hope that Christine Schuyler can come on this program and explain how that program works. It's very, very complicated. There's also now a safety net that you can get into after. You know, you get off your welfare program. And I could have brought my notes, but I didn't want to belabor the whole program talking about welfare to
Yeah,
work.
well, everybody's excited about welfare, especially since they did get an increase. But again, that was a reasonable, fair increase. I mean, there's at some point when somebody is destitute in total need, and the system is there, you got to be able to live on it.
Well, I agree with you there, but
Gotta
there's
have food,
also
you know.
people that can go out and work that I really believe aren't working. And so I think that's where we're, you know, the lake has a welfare to work program coming in this year for helping a shoreline cleanup. Let's hope as a program gets out there that some of the employers will help participate in the welfare to work program. But on the other hand, you've got to show up for work. You can't come in a couple days when you feel like it, and so we're taking a hard look at that, and this resolution we passed fully supports increasing the participation in the welfare to work program.
Yeah, well, that's one of the programs that's been an utter failure, really, because you don't get very many people on it. But again, you got these women with 4 kids. What the heck are you supposed to do? What's she supposed to do? Where are you going to get the child care for 4 kids?
That's part of the program. You have to work out the child care, and this individual has to also go out and seek employment. And I realize it is difficult,
It's impossible for some people.
you know, and on the other hand, do they come from families with a husband, wife, and the 4 kids? We have mothers and, you know, that don't have a husband, so to speak, I guess. I want to be very careful with that one. but single parent families are tough.
Sure, you got to say a lady, in most cases it is, has a bunch of kids around. By the time you try to find care for them, it's going to cost you far more than you're going to earn.
Yes.
I mean, so why would anybody dream of doing it? You know, it's going to cost you more too, the county.
But we have to get more participation. That's the goal of this. And then, of course, we got into the IGT funding, and I know the last program when I was on, the discussion and questions came from the public on the county home. And we don't know how many bids we got in for the sale of the county home. But one thing I will say, and here again, the legislature is working together. We have got a study ongoing looking at the county home finances and what options may be out there for us. That's going to be coming in soon. We also want to make sure, and we have to continue to run that county home either full-time, is somehow, hopefully a profit, or sell it. But we need to maintain it until